KCC311 back for week number 8. 3 videos this week. The first is on mean, median, mode, and standard deviation. Mean, also known as average. We know how to do that by hand, but what if we're dealing with big data sets? We've got to make sure we have technology tools to help us along the way. So here is a big data set. Taxi data from the city of Chicago. From 2013 to 2017, I found all the taxi ride data. This is only 5,000 of those rides because the entire data set's over 100 million. Huge, 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 huge. But we can find the mean, median, mode, standard deviation for this data, and in particular the trip duration. How long do those taxi rides take? Wait a minute, 0? Okay, not everything's perfect. If I ride for 0, I'm not being charged $3.25. So obviously this data is not perfect, but ignore that for a second. Let's talk about mean, median, mode, standard deviation. Now, over here I got some blank squares. That's where I'll be able to calculate. You know the absolute first thing when you are doing formulas in Excel, or I'm on Google Sheets, equals. You got to hit equals. Now, mean, you notice there's no mean formula. However, there is one called an average. Mean is the same as average. So I double-click average, and now the parenthesis says, well, what data do you want to find the average for? Trip duration. How long do these taxi trips take? I'm going to click the C at the top, and that encompasses the entire data set. Close my parentheses, hit enter. Takes a second because there's a lot of numbers, and shoots out that number, 789.51 or 789 seconds, 0.5. So you could convert that to minutes if you would like. Actually, I'll do that right here. 789 divided by 60 minutes in a second, 60 seconds in a minute rather. And so that tells me the average taxi ride is just over 13 minutes long. That's the average on a spreadsheet. Equals average, parenthesis, highlight the data, and you're good to go. Now, at that point, if you see the idea here, you probably have the next ones, median, mode, and standard deviation. You could probably skip the video and figure it out, but for completeness sake, I'm going to go with it. Equals median. Median is the middle data set. So if, in other words, half of the taxi rides are more than 600 seconds long, half of the taxi rides are less than 600 seconds long. What's next? Equals mode. I put the parenthesis. The parenthesis says, what data do you want? I want these. Mode is the most frequent. In other words, the most common to have a taxi ride that's 420 seconds long. And by the way, just to convert that, divided by 60, so the most frequent is 7 minutes long. And the very last one, standard deviation. Now this one, STDev, and you'll see it says STDev, it's an abbreviation. Oops. And what numbers do I want to calculate for? Column C, the trip duration. And I'm going to get a number, and it's going to say 1,046. Now, I need to be real clear. That is not measuring 1,046 seconds is the standard deviation, or that's the range or anything. That's just a measure of how varying these numbers are. It's just a measure of how spread out these numbers are. Now, that's a big number, but that's because some people take real short rides for a couple blocks, and some people might take a ride from, downtown to the airport during rush hour and might take a long time. So big standard deviation means it's very spread out. How come that's important to know? Well, when you take the comprehension check for this week's assignments, you'll have to do these calculations, the average, the mean, the median, and the mode, and you'll have to understand what does the standard deviation represent. More spread out, bigger standard deviation. Check out the comprehension check for this week. You'll need to solve these for Divi data on a spreadsheet. And then there's also 2 more videos on the area graphs and percentiles for week 8.